Welcome to Regenerate sequence number 1. This sequence is specifically intended for if you've done kettlebell swings, if you've done kettlebell snatches, if you've done deadlifts, anything where you've worked the posterior chain of the body, the back of the body. This is going to specifically kind of help you target and focus in on those specific muscle groups. But you can also do it anytime, just to stretch and relax and re-energize your body. So I'm going to go through the sequence twice. We'll hold each stretch for about 30 seconds or so. And the first time through will be sort of like the beginner version or maybe less flexible person version, like if you're me. And then second time through, we'll do a little bit more intermediate slash, I don't really want to use the term advanced, because this is sort of supposed to be like a basic intermediate kind of program, but we'll give you a little bit more advanced type of stretch. So let's just start off nice and easy here. We're going to go with we'll call this a reverse pigeon. So you're just going to lie on your back, and your knee is going to go ahead and come up towards your opposite shoulder. So as you do any lying exercises, if you have a pillow or something that you want to put back behind your head, if you have tightness in your neck, that could be a good idea so that you don't strain your neck. Or if you have the flexibility, your neck can be on the ground. Now what we're doing here is our hips want to stay square. I'm going to have my left hand, I'm going to be pulling on my right knee, and I'm going up towards my opposite shoulder. So the idea is I'm trying to get just a little nice stretch right here in the hip. And if you want to give yourself a little bit more stretch, you can use both arms. And then again, second time through, I'll show you to make this a little bit more difficult, or a little bit more intense stretch, I should say. So just go ahead and slowly release that side. I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. So the other thing you can think about is try to get your heel in the middle of your opposite thigh. And that should kind of set you up. And then the idea is I'm pulling this knee diagonally across my body to my opposite shoulder. So I'm just getting a nice little light little stretch here in my hip. So hold this for about 10 more seconds or so. Then we're going to go into our next stretch, which is going to be a lying hamstring stretch. So let's go back over to our other leg. Let's start off with our left leg bent, and then our right leg is going to come up. So what I want to do here, I have my hand below my knee. And so go ahead and start with this upper leg about 90 degrees from the floor. And then go ahead and pull your toe down towards your shin to increase the stretch if you want to. And just try to straighten out this leg. Then the important thing is try to keep both of your hips on the floor. So what happens a lot of times is people will lift up like this to get more of a stretch. Just go ahead and keep your hips down and flat. We'll hold for 5 or 10 more on this side. You can point your toe. You can flex your toe. You want to try to oscillate back and forth and sort of increase the stretch. And then we will go ahead and bend that leg, put it on the floor, and straighten out the other leg. So again, I want to have my hand below my knee. So instead of pulling on the calf here, hands are going to be below the knee. I can point the toe. I can flex the toe, go back and forth a couple times, get a nice little stretch right here. Now, the other thing you can do if you want to intensify is you can straighten out that off leg, but that's optional. Big thing is you want to have your hips on the floor and have your lower back in a nice kind of neutral position. So let's hold here for a few more seconds, and then we're going to go to a modified cobra. So for a modified cobra, what we're going to do is come over like this. We're going to have our elbows underneath our shoulders, and we're going to try to go ahead and just look straight ahead and press yourself down away from the floor. So my idea here is I'm getting just sort of an increased stretch in my shoulders, my lower back, my middle back, and I can look down slightly so my neck is sort of in line with my spine, or I can look straight ahead. What we don't want to happen is we don't want our shoulders shrugging up towards our ears like this. So we want to be kind of pressing down and away from the ground. Let's hold this for about 30. So that's our rotation number one. What we're going to go through again is we're going to do a second rotation. You can do the same variation of each stretch second time through, or if you want, you can make it a little bit more difficult or intensify the stretch, I should say. So let's go ahead and now you can either go back to your back and do your reverse pigeon we did for our first stretch, or if you want to make this more intense, what you're going to do is be in your push-up position here. Go ahead and come up to like a plank. Then you're going to bring your knee underneath your body. So the knee comes to that same wrist. You can point your back toe. And again, I'm not Mr. Flexible. So if you're tight like me, you may end up just being up in this high position. If you have a yoga block or something along those lines, you can put it underneath here, your hip, put like a blanket or something like that underneath your hip to give you a little bit of assistance. So then level two, if you have the flexibility, is straighten out that back leg, try to push your hips down towards the floor, come down to your elbows. And then level three is you could even straighten your arms all the way out and get more of a stretch. I'm going to stick probably with actually level one. And the other thing is, so I've had a couple knee surgeries on this knee. This is, I a lot of times will do the reverse pigeon because it's just easier on my knee. If I hold this for a long period of time, it gives me a good stretch, but I can kind of get some pain in that knee. So again, I'm going to come back to my plank position. This is just kind of shake that foot out a little bit. Now let's bring our left knee up to our left wrist. And so now if you want, you can point that back toe. And again, if you want to be doing the reverse pigeon at this point, the first stretch that we did, that's totally fine also. So I'm going to be up in this top position to start. And then you also might notice one side, you might get a little bit more flexibility than the other side. So, and that's probably normal and typical, but another good reason for doing our stretches. So now if you wanted to, see on this side, I can take it down to level two and pretty easily, not bad. Whereas my other side is a lot tighter. So you might notice the same thing with yourself. And then if you wanted to, you could reach out with both arms. I'm going to probably just stick up here to level one for now, just to keep it consistent and even between sides. Okay. And then you're going to come up to your plank and kind of come up to our table, like sort of all fours position. So now, if you want to stick with that lying hamstring, lying on the back like we did for the second stretch, stick with that and do that again. Or you can have your hands underneath your shoulders, your knees below your hips. We're going to go ahead and leave your knees a little bit bent on this one. And then what we'll do is we're going to come up and press our body back towards our legs. So my knees are going to stay bent. I'm going to try to leverage and push my body back towards the legs. And then I can slowly straighten out my legs a little bit. Okay, and then what I want you to do is sort of pedal your right heel down and your left heel down. Alternate back and forth. But what I'm trying to do is leverage back here and push my body back towards my legs so I get a nice stretch in the back of the body. Let's go ahead and come down. That one's a little intense. You get a little bit of strength work. It's a pretty good one. Get a little bit of core. We're just going to do it one more time. So again, shoulders down, away from your ears. You're going to go ahead and lift your butt up, your tailbone up towards the sky. Let your knees bend, then straighten them out from here. And then you can kind of pedal the heels back and forth just a little bit from this position. So we'll go for a few more right here. Get a little stretch like this. And then we're going to go ahead and come down to here. Okay, so now for our last one. If you want, you can stick with your modified Cobra like we did like this. Our other option is we're going to go, instead of having our toes flexed here, we're going to point them over this way. This is going to be a little bit more intense. Then you're going to press yourself up all the way into your push-up position, and your body's going to come slightly off the floor. So my shoulders are down, locked away, toes are pointed, quads are flexed. I'm resting on the top of my toes, and my hips are slightly off the ground. So we can go ahead and let's rest. Let's just come back to sort of a child's pose right here. Reach your hands out, sit your hips back towards your heels. We're going to do that one more time. So we can do the modified cobra, like we did on the first time around when I just showed, or we can do this is like an upward dog, where I'm all the way here, my toes are pointed, my shoulders are down, my elbows are locked, I'm looking straight ahead, I'm keeping in a nice tight position here. And let's go ahead and rest. Let's go ahead and come back to our cross-legged position here to finish off. So there is your regenerate sequence number 1. The idea is to give you a stretch specifically to help you recover from swings or deadlifts or any kind of posterior chain focused exercise. But you can also do it at any time to stretch and relax, activate your core, increase recovery, prevent injury, and feel great. So thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you again next time.